What's up, fam, and welcome back again to Recap Kickback. It's me, your host, Chappell, and I am back again to talk to you about the Black entertainment news of the week and whatever we want to talk about as far as our Black content. And we don't really have a lot of Black content this week, but we got a good story that a lot of Black folks are probably gonna laugh at or at least get very mad at. And so with me, who's I guess I should call you Prof now, Mari, but welcome back, Mari Forth.
Hey. I'm glad we took a week, at least from this main here. You'll always have content if you're subscribed to the Recap Kickback, so make sure you're subscribed. But we are back. I can't wait to talk about just some foolishness, foolishness.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be serious today.
No, well, it's gonna be serious, but not the big topic here. We're gonna be talking about the biggest heist ever on Netflix, white shenanigans at its finest. And with me and Mari this week, we had to call in an old favorite guest here on Recap Kickback. My boy, it looks like his name is Versace Bedouin, I believe is how you pronounce it. I don't either, but welcome back, Tyrone.
Versace, what's happening? How y'all doing?
Yeah. Versace.
We definitely gonna talk about shenanigans today. Some absolutely ridiculous. When Chappell mentioned something about people being angry, he's talking about me. He's talking about
yes.
me. How about
that? I love that.
Yes. Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about all of that and more. But as Mari was alluding to, we did have content last week. We talked about Madden. ESPN's Madden or NFL's Madden. It's in the game. There's a documentary on Prime. I brought in the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast to talk about episode 1 of the docuseries. Make sure you check that out if you were missing your recap kickback content for last week. But we're back here, back at it like it's crack, Mari, to talk about this week in Black entertainment news. So make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Go to recapkickback.com/subscribe to make sure that you are subscribed. And make sure if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, smash that like button. Let us know that you enjoy the content and get in the comments and tell us what you think about what we're talking about today. If you're new here because you just like true crime and you see Biggest Heist Ever, guess what? We got a great recap at the end of the podcast for you, but you got to make sure you subscribe and keep up with all the stuff we're getting into. And make sure you follow us on social media as well. At Recap Kickback on all social media platforms. But first, we got some Black entertainment news, and we gotta span a lot of things this time around. I really wish it didn't have to be like this time, guys. But let's not jump into anything too controversial right now. Let's just start with the Golden Globes are coming. They're about to happen, and we see a lot of the nominees are Black. And we got a list of the Black nominees, but we also got 25 shows from Black TV creators and showrunners that premiered in 2004. So many of these are Golden Globe nominees. Some of them are, and some of them are things that we covered here on Recap Kickback. So I definitely wanted to just highlight, because we talked about some of this stuff. It's been a great year, but there's some stuff that we weren't able to get to. So first and foremost, let's talk about what we did get to. We talked about a lot. I didn't even realize how much of the content that we actually covered because, it's so hard to, to keep up with everything, right? It's coming out so fast. But I think we have Supercell on our list, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, covered by me and Puya. This week, Tyrone and I will be talking about The Madness with Coleman Domingo. And we have Beauty in Black, which is also Black created, obviously, not getting any Golden Globes anytime soon, I'm sure. Cross, which we talked about the premiere, but we haven't gone back and finished it. Mari, I've seen a lot of people say they really want us to finish it. How to Die Alone, and Good Times Black again, Mari. So we hit some big ones, but look at some of the stuff we didn't talk about. The Invincible Fight Girl. Now, this is in conversations. We just haven't had a chance to make it happen yet.
Yep. It's a cartoon about wrestling, so that's like right up my alley and stuff like that. And I actually watched the first 4 episodes, I want to say, and it was really fun. It's like if you like wrestling, Black people, and anime, like this is it. And you don't even have to like all 3 of them.
Just pick one. Pick which
Right,
whatever you like the most.
yeah, but it was really fun. It's really fun, right? Me and my son sat down and watched it, and it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
I like the
Tyrone.
script of the Horizons and the content. I just read the description. I've never heard of it before, but I just read the description of it. That's pretty dope. Like that's new and different.
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever seen or even heard of before. So I'm gonna definitely have to check it out. That's dope. I'm glad we're highlighting this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really funny. It's like for Invincible Fight Girl, it's like it takes place in this world where like wrestlers are seen as like the best job to have. If you're familiar with like Steven Universe, in a sense, it's like it's
Mhm.
a parallel world. And a girl who it's like people are broken up with their jobs. Like their jobs are dictate their social class, where they live. And she was born to a family of accountants, and they live on Accountant Island, and she's like destined to be an accountant, but she doesn't want to be an accountant. She wants to be a wrestler. And it's so funny. It's so anime. Like they have a ring deployment system where you can be anywhere in their world, and if somebody challenges you to a wrestling match, a satellite from the ring deployment system will shoot down a ring. Everybody just starts fighting. It's like really funny, high concept anime. Oh, shout out to Churchy Kev on Stage. That was funny too. I watched that this year as well.
Yeah, we didn't cover Churchy. We didn't cover a lot of these shows, but it's not for
Churchy's
lack
been
of
in
wanting
season 2.
to. Yeah, we might need to jump in on
Mhm.
Churchy while we can. It would be nice to have Kev on stage, maybe like, come on the podcast or something.
Come on the
I'll dream big.
podcast.
Yeah, that would be
I
nice.
know.
Papa's House. I definitely talked to Jason Reed about coming and talking about the show created by
Mhm.
Damon Wayans, starring him and his son, Damon Wayans Jr. But yeah, plenty of Black shows from this last year. And I think that's great, right? We're here to highlight Black creators. If you're on our YouTube page, I'm just scrolling through kind of like a slideshow provided by blexmedia.com, where we get a lot of our content from. So yeah, check it out. Make sure you check out that link. I'll put it in the show notes. And then check out some of this other Black content, because there's a lot out there. And we can only talk about so much. Look, The Walking Dead is even on here. See, Recap Kickback did it. We had a zombie kickback.
And click on this article, look at it, and if you think there's something on it that you still want us to highlight or want us to talk about maybe in the near future, drop it in the YouTube comments below.
Yes, please let us know what it is you want us to talk about, so that we can make sure we bring in y'all all the content. Because a lot of these shows I've heard about, I just didn't have time to check them out, or I didn't have time to podcast it. Like the Vince Staples show, loved it, just didn't have the time to sit down and talk about it. So we will see if we get more content like that moving forward that we can really sink our teeth into 2025. But like I said, the Golden Globes are coming up as well, and some of those Black shows and creators got a nomination or two, a nod or two for the Golden Globes, and I'm very happy to hear that. But I have some questions about some of these nominees, because the Golden Globes, they're scooping up people like right now. Cynthia Erivo is already nominated for Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. And Mari, it just dropped. Like it hit the movie theater, and they were like, Golden Globe.
Chappell, it does not matter. Wicked just dropped. Guess what happened on my Apple Music Wrapped? It's the second most listened to album in my Apple replay. Can you guess what the first is?
Hopefully Kendrick, GNX, or
no,
or Tyler.
Try again. We talked about it on here.
Oh, what? Cowboy Carter?
Of course. And it was so far ahead of everything. But anyways, yes, she deserves. That movie was amazing. Her acting was amazing. Did Ariana get a nod? I mean, I know we're just talking about the Black people, and
we're just talking about the Black folks. I'm sure she got nominated. Other notable Black people nominated for Golden Globes: Zendaya for Challengers.
I have still not seen Challengers.
Oh yeah, I love it. I loved it. I think we talked about it on here. I talked about it on somebody's podcast with LaTanya.
Yeah, I don't know if it was this one, but I still didn't get a chance to see it, and it's been free on demand. It's been free online for like forever. I can't watch it in front of the kids. So
right,
it's hard to.
It's honestly not even. It's more suggestive than anything. Like it ain't. It's not freak nasty. It just
to be.
Yeah, it's got nasty undertones, but like I think there might be one love scene. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they out here having threesomes left and right. There's literally no threesome. And I was like, what? Boo. What? Also, don't lie.
The only love scene that they showed is the one that they were shown in the previews. That's basically what you're saying.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the only threesome in the whole movie. Is that So it's a journey, but make sure you check that out if you haven't. Denzel Washington nominated for Gladiator 2, which again, that's my issue. It's fresh off the press. I mean, dang, can we watch it good before you start giving it an award?
That's why you drop that stuff at this time of the year.
It's time. They understand. They understand what they're doing. But it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet, Ty. Because again, it just happened. But also covered here, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Donald Glover will get Best Performance by a Male Actor nomination. Quinta Brunson nominated for Abbott Elementary. And then Jamie Foxx, Tyrone, was nominated for his stand-up. What happened was nominated for What Had Happened was, I'm sorry, nominated for Best Performance in Stand-Up Comedy on Television. This Netflix special. It dropped today. Like this afternoon.
That's what I thought. Okay, I was like, I thought this just dropped.
I mean, literally, I don't even know how they typed this article because it must have been yesterday. You know, like it could not have been a week that this has been out. Tyrone, what you think about it?
Oh man, I cried. I cried a lot watching this. This was, man, I tell you, man, if you've ever gone through something, this one hits you. This one hits you hard. And I think there's a high possibility it wins because it's more of a variety show. You know, he does more than just stand-up in it. And it's almost like a storytelling event where he's using music, he's using comedy, he's using all sorts of angles to be able to tell that story. And so I think he did a really solid job. There wasn't a dry tear in the stadium or arena that they were at. But I think it's a must watch, and I think it's a must conversation as well.
Sure. And I'm gonna assume no transphobia at all.
Not to my knowledge. You know, I ain't seen none.
Look how easy that is.
We're not talking about Dave.
Yeah, well, look. Jamie Foxx went through something very traumatic in the last year, where he got very, very sick. People were talking about Jamie Foxx being a clone and all this other stuff. Died? They said he died, and so he addresses all of that. His family is involved.
He actually tells us what happened. He actually tells us what happened. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I gotta watch it.
It's a tearjerker for sure. Like so much that if you look at the Netflix categories, it literally says tearjerker on there. Like they know what they're doing when they give you that. And so Tyrone is not the first person or the last person you're probably going to hear say that they cried through that. I definitely saw a few people. So check that out.
I gotta watch it. Yeah, I told you I might need security is like in my top 3 for a comedy special.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This was so insightful and personal, and it was really heartfelt. You could tell that like this is Jamie Foxx so real in a way that I don't think he even knew he had this level to him. And so to see him telling the story, it seemed like he was also surprised in moments that, you know, like this happened to him, but also that he's now in a different space where he has to persevere through that and tell his story and inspire other people too. So check that out. It's on Netflix. Just a few others. Ayo Adibiri from The Bear. Obviously musical or comedy. The Bear is not a comedy or a musical, but you know, good luck to you.
Is this for this last season or the season before?
This gotta be from this last season, right? Because if the Gladiator could get in for this season, then dear God, you know, like this last season. And I don't think sorry, Ayo, that this last season was just it didn't give me what I needed, but you did great. She wasn't really in it as much as I would have liked though, but whatever. Zoe Saldana is also on this list for Emilia Perez, which I believe is the most nominated. Yeah, and that's the most nominated project here in the Golden Globes this year. Yeah, I believe it got the most of all of the categories. So she gets the nom for Best Supporting Actress in Motion Picture. Chris Bowers for The Wild Robot, which I believe is also which also got the most nominations for an animated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so Black excellence, y'all. We did it again, you
Love
know.
that.
So make sure you check that out. We gotta support our Black creators and actors and artists, because if we don't do it, who will, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Next up, we'll get a little dark. You know, we like to give people their flowers here when they can smell them, obviously, on Recap Kickback. But this article from NPR that I'm bringing up on YouTube is going to outline that we lost a legend here. Renowned poet and Black arts movement icon Nikki Giovanni dies at 81. And it's very sad. You know, there's a really cool photo of Nikki Giovanni, because whenever I think of Nikki Giovanni, this is what I see. Because I remember watching so many interviews about how you know, her activism, and even just hearing her talk about just giving words of wisdom when she looked like this. This woman died at 81. You know, I believe she was a professor at the time of her death, a member of Delta Theta sorority as well. And you know, just it's a really sad day. You know, you get on Instagram and all you see is people posting Nikki Giovanni quotes, different poems. I don't know. It always bothers me when we lose our icons, because then you have to wonder, like, who's gonna step up next, right? Who's our new Nikki Giovanni, or is there even room for a new Nikki Giovanni? You know, and so just wanted to highlight that, because you know, we've lost a few of the goats, and I don't know, this really kind of touched me a little bit, man. Yeah, it sucks. Mari, are you familiar with Nikki's poetry?
No, I'm not. But I think right now the words "fuck cancer" come to mind. As you would put it so well, because that's how she passed. But I saw a lot of outpouring about her and her life. So like you know, you hate to see our greats be taken away, but you do love to see them honored and not forgotten.
Yeah, she ended up working at Virginia Tech, I believe, teaching English for a while. And she talked about one of her students who went on to murder 32 people in the Virginia Tech shooting in 2007. So, you know, very interesting right there. She said, killing is a lack of creation. It's a lack of imagination. It's a lack of understanding who you are and your place in the world. Life is an interesting and good idea as opposed to killing. You know, wise words from her, obviously. But she also has a book of poetry that will be coming out next year, titled The Last Book, ironically enough, or coincidentally. So yeah, she was working on getting her last book of poetry out at the time of her death. Tyrone, are you familiar with Nikki at all?
Not too familiar. I just know that she was a part of Black arts movement, Black power movement in the 1960s. There's so many unspoken people involved in the Black power movement in the 60s. And we know the most famous one during that time frame, but there's others that played a part, and I know she was a huge part of it. So definitely sad for one of our heroes.
Yeah, tough loss there. But also, you know, 81 is nothing to sneeze at. She made it a very long time. Wish she could have been here longer, touch more lives, all that good stuff. But her legacy will be remembered. But, you know, we have to move on to, like I said, tougher conversations here on Recap Kickback. I hate to talk about this kind of stuff unless it is about P. Diddy, who I have a lifelong vendetta against. This time, we are going to be diving back into the Diddy waters just a bit. NBC News reported the other day that Jay-Z was also accused and named in one of the Diddy lawsuits as for I believe raping a 13-year-old girl. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this specifically is because although Jay-Z is one of my favorite rappers, he is not above reproach. You know, like we believe victims. But this conversation is so nuanced, I believe, Mari, and you are my true crime expert here. There's a lot of questions about the attorney being used, Jay-Z's response to the allegations. It's a little messy, and it feels like we're going to get answers very soon, because I don't think the Jay-Z and Beyonce camp are going to let this go unaddressed, at least not publicly. They're going to speak on it, Mari.
Exactly. Like it feels weird, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like we of course believe women. That's not what we're saying. But the attorney that is handling this, from what we heard, moves very shiesty when it comes to like Jay-Z. So it's like it muddies the waters, and it really makes me think like there's no what's the word? When people have to recuse themselves from cases, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Conflict of interest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we will definitely see. Like, this is one of those things where it's just like, oh, it's gonna get litigious. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
because straight out the gate, Jay-Z. Okay, so here's the storyline as I understand it. We get the news about Jay-Z being named in these allegations, but this is after these claims were made specifically about Diddy. Now, then it was refiled to include Jay-Z. Jay-Z then came out and said, yeah, we will address these claims because they're baseless, but also because they tried to basically extort me for money and they wanted to do a big settlement and keep it on the hush. Well, I would like to publicly take it to criminal court if possible, so that I can be sued or something of that nature if there is actually some wrongdoing on my part. But he does not seem to be moving like a guilty person, in my opinion, Tyrone. How much do you know about it?
The same thing that you explained is what I read the statement that he made. I think the statement in and of itself is unprecedented for this type of accusation. I don't think we've seen anything like it before. And so when you mentioned he's not moving like somebody that is guilty, the thing that comes to my mind immediately is the statement that he made. Now, how much of that is a play or a ploy, we don't know. And I think, to your point, Mari, it's going to come out sooner than we usually get to these type of things. So I'm leaning towards not guilty. I'm leaning towards bullshit, but I'm giving myself some space to be able to kind of move off of that just in case.
Yeah, no matter what, it's not a good look if like as a lawyer, you are talking, you filed a claim, you filed charges against like Diddy, right? And then but at the same time you're sitting here like threatening Jay-Z, and you're like, from what Jay-Z is putting out there saying like, oh, give us money to settle and we won't add you to this lawsuit. And Jay-Z be like, I'm not giving you money, add me to the lawsuit, makes it feel like at least he knows he's going to fight it and he's gonna want everything out in the open. And people, that's kind of the feeling what Ty is alluding to, is like people who have stuff to hide normally don't want everything out in the open. So I mean, I'm just waiting. I read the indictments. I went to the Bob's page and read everything.
Look, I got the Bob pulled up.
Exactly. So Megan, the reporter. So I'll definitely be following this. Like, other people probably won't. Everybody will look at the headline and be like, I knew it. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where it's going to get split down. Some people are going to say this, some people are going to say that. To me, I want to wait. I want to see the court documents. I want to, like, it's been such a year, like 2 or 3 years of like hip hop trials, like actually like really following like the YSL, which just finished, just wrapped up.
Meg, y'all. I'm sorry, I can't hold it in.
The Meg Thee Stallion trial, like the fact that we have like real news sources that we can go to who are following these trials, like that's what I'm leaning on, and that's what I want to hear.
Say like you can also add like the Jonathan Majors trial into that. It's the things that are just happening, is and getting those details is extremely important. It's people I've definitely heard I knew this was coming, and that makes me nervous a little bit because there's already a guilty association attached to it due to that those types of comments. And sometimes we don't pull off of that once we get more details, or we don't wait for more details. So I'm just
but that's
at this point. Yeah,
same. But that's what this headline culture has been like. That's what it's been like for, arguably at least what feels like ramping up the last 8 years or so. Like there's always just going to be keyboard warriors who only read the headlines and don't read the thing. So like people like Jay-Z, Beyonce, stars, they have to, they know what they have to do if they want to clear their name or whatever. It reminds me of like Meg and Lizzo, like all the Meg and Lizzo suits. We heard all of the stuff of when those suits were first filed, but now if you go back and see those suits, it's like nothing came of nothing came of them, because and just because nothing came of them doesn't mean anything didn't happen. But if you go back and read, a lot of that stuff is just like it was unfounded. And especially like they couldn't prove it in the Lizzo case, the Meg case where her ex where the like assistant had sued her. Her assistant sued her for like lost wages, but released the story talking about how he was there when she was doing stuff with a girl and was wanted to file for sexual harassment, but he couldn't because he couldn't prove it, but he put that out and that was the headline, you know what I'm saying? And then it was all taken care of in court or whatever, or it's still in the process of being taken care of court. Like no matter what, anybody that we're in that blog culture, we're in this headline culture where anybody can say anything about a celebrity. And at this point, if I'm that celebrity and I'm that person, it's just like you can't care. It's almost like you can't care what people think. You just have to fight and clear your name, because people who want to believe you will believe you. People who don't want to believe you won't. Like people like us who just want to read the facts will read the facts. That's just how it is.
Yep. And in this environment where there's fast media and anybody can be a journalist essentially, because
exactly
connection, you got to treat these types of situations differently than you might have 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah.
Media literacy is it's at an all-time low here. So
yeah, and look, like I said, we're not here to say whether or not Jay-Z is guilty or innocent or anything like that. We're just reporting the news. The problem is that there's so much drama around this attorney. Tony Busby is the attorney's name, and I'm from Houston. We know his name. He's a scammer. At least, you can be a scammer and also be right, but he's definitely a scammer. I believe he's TMZ had reported that he has been sued for assault himself not too long ago. Just kind of like, sir, you already don't come off as a like trustworthy narrator when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? He also is I guess he's getting targeted by a former client. It says former client claims Busby acted more like a loan shark than his lawyer in a personal injury case, and he's getting sued for holding a huge chunk of the settlement for himself. And there's also other like reports coming out. Jay-Z's attorney basically is alleging that Busby tried to force a female client to make false allegations as a client when she refused to do so. And she's also claimed Busby's firm pressed her to file a lawsuit anonymously. And, all that stuff can only hurt. If this woman, this can only hurt the victim's case. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's the worst part about it, is that if you were that hell-bent on the fall of a billionaire, which we see that people kind of have a bloodlust for, especially when it comes to humbling black people, humbling successful black people, humbling black men, all those things are going to cloud what ultimately the most important thing is, was this person harmed? And I think all of this clouds that. And so
it's a it's a distraction.
Yeah, exactly. So we will be back, of course, to talk about more of that as more of that unfolds. But like I'm a big Jay-Z fan as far as like rap goes. But I don't know that man, so he can be guilty or not. But it's looking like a sham of a whole situation, and it's like some some funny business behind the scenes, but we can't make any judgment about it right now because the victim, if there is a victim, does not deserve that as well. So that ends our Black entertainment news. Anything y'all want to add before we get into our recap of the biggest heist ever?
No. God, there's too much going on. Can we take a break? Can like everything just take a pause? Like, can we just get a minute?
Holiday break? We need a
holiday break.
Can I get a minute, please?
Yeah, it's too much. 2025 is upon us. Maybe we'll start over fresh. But we know that's not how we really get down. So that said, thank y'all for listening to our Black entertainment news of the week. We will be right back after this break to talk about Biggest Heist Ever right after this. So don't go anywhere. All right, we're back. And this is our recap of a documentary that is on Netflix called Biggest Heist Ever. Mari suggested this for the week. She said, Chappell, I watched it and I laughed. And I think it'd be fun to talk about. I told Tyrone, this is what we're talking about. He said, cool. All right. A little odd. Not really recap kickback-ish, but let's check it out. And Tyrone takes me back. I'm mad. I said, okay. So it sounds like we need to be talking about this because if it made Mari laugh and Tyrone mad, it's like, we probably gonna have some good material here. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check out Biggest Heist Ever. The quick version. Mari, give us the quick rundown for the people who have not seen it and just need a little bit of motivation before we get into all the spoilers of everything.
Okay, so basically a husband and wife team named Heather and Ilya, they basically pull off the biggest heist, Bitcoin heist ever to ever do it back in 2015. This documentary was so I loved it because one, it's the most I've ever been explained about Bitcoin and understand it in my entire life.
I was like, oh, that's what y'all been doing?
Exactly. And did it not make you think I could do that?
I was like, Bitcoin, I can do that. It means a Bitcoin.
Exactly. It explained Bitcoin. It explained just internet fraud, scam, crime. Like, we know people love them a good scam nowadays, so it's a really good scam documentary. And then on the face of it, you have two people who are just outrageous. Like Heather, it goes from being like a working in the startups industry in Silicon Valley to like making weird TikToks and being a rapper called Razzle Khan. And then we had an Aquafina cameo. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Her name had to come up because it made so much sense. I said, of course, I knew she was behind this. Yeah.
But I say all that to say that this husband and they ended up becoming husband and wife. This husband and wife team managed to steal $70 million in Bitcoin originally when they stole it in 2015. When it was confiscated from them in, I believe it was 2019, it was worth $4.5 billion. And they had $4.5 billion in Bitcoin that they could not touch. They could not money launder it. And that is where the explanation of Bitcoin came in. And it was so fascinating. They're talking about how in Bitcoin, everybody can see everybody's transactions in Bitcoin. Everybody can see everybody's wallets in Bitcoin. You just can't see who owns them. And that whole public, the public log, that made me so I'm nosy. I want to get on.
Show me the ledger. Yeah, send me the link.
Exactly. I was like, I kind of want to just look at people's transactions, Bitcoin transactions. But they basically broke in to what was the name of the thing?
Bit or something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was really hard to say, but Bitfinex, something like that. Bitfinex, there it is. Bitfinex, yeah. Bitfinex is a Bitcoin conversion thing. It basically converts Bitcoin from Bitcoin to money. And they hacked into it in a way where they hacked into the servers. They basically hacked into the servers, sat in the servers long enough to collect people's passwords and information, and then once they collected all that stuff, they basically like hit a button or something. That's how I imagined it. And they automatically stole all these people's money, like just emptied other people's wallets and put all that money into this one wallet where people could see that they had stole the $70 million. And it just had to sit there and collect dust, because once it was in that wallet, it's trackable. You can see where they send it. But and they could send it to places until those places require you to identify yourself in order to like convert it to money. They knew they could not use it to identify themselves. They couldn't take it to the point where they had to identify themselves because they would get arrested for stealing. So it was so crazy. We had one of the talking heads was somebody whose whole Bitcoin was stolen and stuff like that. And it was a wild ride. But you know, that's the technical stuff. The funny stuff in the documentary is her trying to rap, because
let's get to it. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
So Mari, that was beautiful. That's basically what happened. These people hacked the Bitcoin and they got it before the boom, right? They got in there before Bitcoin really took off as like, oh no, people getting rich. And so the problem is these people that are doing the hacking, from the outside looking in, they don't really look like super criminals, right? Exactly. $4.5 billion. They explained to us that you could spend $100,000 a day for 100 years and still have almost $1 billion left. That's how much money those people had stolen. And then when you zoom in, they are clowns. At least one. Yeah. But Heather is a clown. Tyrone, what made you mad? What made you so mad about this? You're muted.
What made me mad was, and we've said this number multiple times, $4.5 billion.
Billion dollars.
This man was in jail for 3.5 years.
Ooh,
not in jail for like 2 years, and then she went to jail.
For like 2 years.
Months. Yeah, 18 months for $4.5 billion. Where can I get in? I want to get in. I want to be part of this.
It's worth it. It's worth the risk.
They was living lavishly in a New York penthouse for 5 years. 5 years before they got caught. And you only had to spend 18 months in the pit. What are we doing here?
I mean, his father, we get a section where his father had broken into the Illinois Trust Bank and had the same he had the same problem. He couldn't cash out. They found out it was him, went to his house like, hey, you hacked into our stuff. And he was like, yeah, I did. And they're like, okay, well, just don't do it again. Like, what is this slap on the wrist type bullshit? Like, his father didn't even go to jail.
This is the lesson you learn from this documentary. The lesson you learn from this documentary is, if you're going to be a criminal, be
reach for the stars.
IT computer science related criminal, because instead of putting you in jail, they just gonna want your help. That's all they're gonna do. That's all they're gonna do. They just want your help. You was free, and all you gotta do is just help them out. That is crazy. They listed they listed 3 informants that were prior hackers on this documentary. Yeah. And the reason why they're not in jail is because they helping out the intelligence. That's the crime that you want to commit. So that's what I learned from this. If you see me on the news, because I became a computer science criminal.
It's funny because not only do they list hackers, that we talk to them. We have legit people who are like, it's me. I was hacking. I was stealing so much. I was a cybercrime genius. I came up with all that kind of stuff. I'm like the godfather of hacking. Well, why aren't you in jail?
They got a polo, a little 2-button polo. Both buttons are snapped up. Like he got a clean shaven, bald head. And he's got a nice little computer in that little room that he in. He all lean back and typing. Yeah, man, this is what I did we called the website shadow hackers. He's talking about the whole website that he created. He's just chilling. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Yeah,
informant. Well, look, he's an informant, and he ain't had no issue being an informant either, because now he got a nice cushy job. It kept him out of jail for the rest of his life, and all he got to do is help people track down other cyber criminals like this. And so his name is Brett Johnson, the original internet godfather is what they call him. He was doing all the fraud, basically a pioneer in the industry, and he's one of our main talking heads and one of the main people who are helping track these other two people. And I'm just like, bro, well, I mean, dang, ain't no honor amongst thieves, dear God. Like you out here throwing your predecessor, you're the predecessor. You throwing your people, your neos under the bus. You know what I'm saying? You got, like, what are you doing? That did annoy me. I'm not gonna lie. One of the other people
working home job. He is the ultimate remote job.
Yeah. I get to sit around and just like find other people doing crimes because I did crimes. Yeah, okay, sir. Not a fan of him. Our big investigator here, Chris Jenseski, he is hilarious. The guy who he comes in and he's so deadpan. This man is so
deadpan. Yeah,
he is giving no energy at all.
It was nothing.
It's because he wants to take his job very seriously. He's like, I am a hacker. I'm here to find cyber criminals. This is $4.5 billion. This is very serious. I take my job seriously. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about this. Different ideas come to me, and I'm trying different websites, trying different avenues, because he has to track this money, and it's hard because it's moving all over the place. And you can't really pin it down, but they can't get to it without identifying themselves. So he's got to be on alert. And then he finds out who he's dealing with. And he's just like, bruh, a rapper named Razzle Khan is behind all of this. Mari, this is white shenanigans. Were we living under a rock? Did you ever hear about any of this? Because I had no clue. There was a TikTok, internet, Instagram rapper running around here stealing $4.5 billion of Bitcoin.
Not at all. Had no earthly idea. And the fact that this went on for 5 years. They were sitting there. They were staring at this money. They were trying to launder it, but couldn't do it. Chris was hot on their tails. And honestly, let's be real. They really got caught because they got bored. They were like, they were kind of like, maybe nobody's looking anymore. Like they did all of that quote unquote. They kept saying like it was such a sophisticated hack. It was such like, it was something they hadn't seen before. These Negroes got caught non-Negroes got caught because they bought some gift cards.
Okay, so
they gift cards with their Bitcoin.
They got a little sloppy. And I think that's why. I mean, honestly, it's just a little sloppy. It's something as tiny as a gift card, which is such a big identifier, was the thing that took them down. It's $4.5 billion. Most people get caught buying a home, or a block or a ship, or something. They get caught fleeing the country, buying property outside of the country. The investigators are even asking us, I don't know why they didn't just flee the country. They speak other languages. They got ties in Ukraine. Why are they still here? No, they having going away parties and making sure that their friends know, hey, y'all, we about to leave. But also, I shot you a little $100 gift card from Walmart.
Yeah. And here's reason number 2. Tyrone was pissed. Okay, because the gift cards it wasn't for them. They was giving these gift cards. It wasn't like, oh, we're trying to find ways to use this money to spend it, so we have to give ourselves gift cards. No, these were like party gifts that they were
for their wedding,
gift cards for their marriage, right? And so when he says, hey, they can go somewhere else where even if they get caught, they won't go to jail. And these non-Negroes is chilling in New York. New York.
They were like, they were like, they could have ran so many times. They could have
I just don't understand. I didn't understand it until the 18 months. That's what I'm saying. Like this is crazy to me. This is the wildest hour and a half that I've ever seen, because I was flabbergasted at the goings on of what was happening. When the people who are listening, when you look up Razokhan, please come back and talk about it in the comment section, because I need y'all to understand the depth of what we're saying here. Shorty was a rapper, bro. She was a rapper. She went to quad, bro.
Yeah.
and then so she's a bad rapper, and we will get to that.
We gotta talk about it
post haste, but they basically did the equivalent of, you find a credit card on the ground, you buy some candy to make sure it works first before you like. They didn't even get to the part where they bought the big thing. Like they didn't even get to that part.
They spent it on bullshit and gifts for their friends. And these people were not poor. They weren't poor. They did not have to buy the gift card with the Bitcoin. They had been living in New York off their own money. It's not like they could get the Bitcoin money. They couldn't touch it. So it's not like they had other streams of income. Why? Why? What are you doing? So let's take it back a little bit. Heather, she's the real villain here. Ilya, we'll talk about him in a second, but Heather, we got to talk about the rap. Razokhan is her rap name. She starts off as a tech person, like Mari said, working at tech startups. She's a little left of center. She's like a little wacky offbeat character. She's bringing a waffle iron to work all the time. People like her, but she's not really. What are we talking about? Do you hear me? Anyway, people like her, but she ain't nobody like. She kind of like a clown, in a room. Like everybody kind of gravitates for goofy stuff, but she's very smart.
Center of attention.
Yeah, center of attention, but like not like in a good way necessarily. She just is, and she comes from a well-educated background. I believe she has 2 degrees, international relations and economics. So she knows what she's doing. She ends up going off and making a career out of both of those things. She works in international relations, she works in economics. She eventually marries the 2. This woman has all the knowledge of like how to scam people. Because of her studies in economics and international relations and all that good stuff. Also her dealing with tech people. She is so bold that this lady is out here giving TED Talks and speaking at dinners and conventions and stuff about how to scam people. Get this, while she's rapping about scamming people.
Social
engineering. The hubris of this lady. Who raps about catfishing somebody? And you catfishing people. I got nothing.
Thank you.
I got nothing. When she's giving the speech, and somebody raises their hand in the crowd, like, "Hey, this social engineering thing sounds unethical. How do you work with that? Like, because you seem like a professional person. You obviously wouldn't be up here bragging about something unethical." And she goes, "I mean, I have my own ethics." Lady, what does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Right. You're a scammer. And you're proud of it. You've made 10,000 videos, I believe, Mari, or 1,000 videos, something like that on YouTube. Rapping.
It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
So it's just the idea that this lady is so above reproach that she's like drawing attention to herself in a way when she has a $4.5 billion secret, Tyrone.
It's a level of privilege that is so unprecedented that like speaking of the song, like the second line of the song, that is my name, Fosachi Bedouin, whatever. The song is for the entrepreneurs and the hackers. She is just throwing it out there, right? Like, there is a high level of privilege that is not only attached to the fact that she's talking about social engineering and holding seminars for it, while she understands that this is a possibility that she could be investigated on, but the fact that she has this high level of education that is attached to her. She knows 5 languages, and she was like, "Nah, I just become a cringy rapper."
I know. And
It's okay.
it's fine, you know. And can we talk about it? There's always one that gotta back him up.
And she had two. She had two.
And she had
Yep.
two. Okay. These N-words. I didn't even write their names down.
Mhm. I didn't either.
I have
One of them
some
thought he was Childish Gambino, though.
I have some insight into how these documentaries work. You know, I'll talk about that one day on here. But they do have a narrative that they're trying to push, and they bring in people who can spin the narrative that they want to spin in a lot of ways. Mari has famously said on her podcast, Crime Scene, that like all documentaries have a point of view. They're all trying to tell you something. None of them are just like unbiased. It's they typically have a point of view that they're trying to get across. And so they bring in these two black men to be like, we were helping her with the rap. You know, it wasn't good, but we supported her because she was our friend, and we helped. And we were shocked to find out that this was like the dark underbelly of what she had going on. But to that, I say, y'all didn't have to help that lady. Y'all did not have to help that lady. Why did you do this? You were part of the problem. I hope they got you too. They hope they scammed you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because you helped. Yeah, we got to gatekeep. She said, you know, I listened to an interview one time, and it really gave me the strength to figure out what I was going to do. I was burnt all at work. I got unhappy, and an interview with hip hop star and rapper Aquafina taught her that she should have an alter ego. And I'm like, it's right there. She's saying the quiet part out loud, bro. You know, you can just use rap and hip hop as an alter ego so that you can cover up whoever it is you want to be or break into other industries, especially when you ain't black. It's a little appropriating and it's a lot of appropriating. Stop it. Cut it out. I don't like it. Because now you almost making a mockery of black folks as a way to disguise your criminal behavior that black folks could never pull off. Mari, I got a good dislike into Heather in this, and I'm so sad that she's not in jail.
I know. She was like, we don't get any like what I realize is we don't get any like direct footage of her. Like there's not any like real.
We see her like walking around to the car one time, but not a lot.
Like all of the stuff that we get from her is through her social media, through her her startup promotional videos and stuff like that. So like I also disliked her, but it was just also so weird, y'all. It was just so incredibly weird. Their wedding, they had this wedding where when it feels like it's at the end of their rope. Again, their wedding, they bought the gift cards for their wedding to give out at their wedding. But at the wedding, like the wedding's crazy because the people coming down the aisle have big old feathers that you would fan somebody with. Then she comes out. Yeah, and a palanquin or whatever they call it. And then, but down the aisle to a stage where she then raps for like, they said like almost an hour or something.
And with all the clothing and the carrying out, it looks like it was in a warehouse. It looks like the after party or the reception was in like a garage. Like it didn't look like anything. It's just weird. And that brings to the question that I had throughout this whole experience, because you're right, we didn't really get to see either one of them like in their own habitat. It was social media or during the trial. My question is, do we think it was 50-50? Do we think it was 50-50? How did the conversation come up?
Well,
that we should do this?
Given Ilya's background where his dad was a scammer and hacker, I would assume that he clearly was the one who had the tools. And like we said, he saw that his dad basically got no repercussions for his actions. So he probably had the skill and the know-how. He probably just needed Heather to be that pushing, to be like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like she seemed like the more motivated one, the more outgoing one, the more brazen one to say for sure. So I do think it's 50-50. I think it looked like that is one thing. I was like, oh, it's cute. They love each other. They're both nuts for each other. Like she she called herself Razzle Khan and stuff because she had Turkish descent in her. If you
Yeah.
looked at her, you'd be like, this lady white.
Well, that's a white lady.
And I mean, that's where the Caucasus Mountains are, I believe. It's in that area.
It's in that area. It's in that
Yeah.
Kardashian land, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. So like, but she was just so obsessed. Like everything she did had like it seemed like it had to have those flourishes and embellishments as what you would think would be of like Turkish culture. I don't know, but like it'd be so funny because she's standing there at her wedding in this garish like gold jewels, like so what you would think would be just not appropriate, and he's just in there in the regular old tux. Like it's just so. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of funny. It was kind of like cute. It was kind of like a, an odd couple type thing. But she was infuriating. Her rapping was really bad. Her dancing was horrendous. She danced like a 60-year-old woman, like with the hips. Oh God, if you don't like white people dancing, you will not like this documentary.
Yeah.
It's that typical like how white people move and they're thinking they're rapping. Oh
yeah. It was bad.
So
bad. It was so cringy. But yeah, to answer your question or to address your question, Tyrone, Ilya did say in his plea that he admitted that he was the main hacker. He stole the usernames and the passwords. He operated alone, and then eventually he led her into like the laundering. She admitted to laundering and destroying evidence, including gold coins and stuff like that. So it does feel like he probably was doing the lion's share of the work. But
yes.
Yeah, but the question about their relationship is really where I kind of want to go at, right? Because Mari, you did say it seemed like that was cute, but it didn't actually like. I don't think we ever see the two of them interact like in a loving situation ever.
But we don't get any archival footage of them. We get social media, and clearly she is the
social media one.
Forward and he isn't. Like if we're just going off of social media, like that can seem anything. Like I'm only a halfway social media girly, but my husband, he does it, so he's not social media. So you don't get. That's the one piece that I feel like we're missing. We don't have anything that feels like authentically them to know what their authentic personalities are. We don't have anything.
Well, I'll push back just a bit. Okay. We have firsthand accounts from their friends and family.
That's
and
true.
nobody ever talks about the love they have for each other. A lot of people are like her friends, the black folks that she got around her. They saying we was at her apartment all the time and he never came outside. Matter of fact, I used to be over there and he was just going in his room.
He probably didn't like those black folk.
I mean, probably. I mean, but yeah. I mean,
didn't her friends say that they understood why they got together? Her college roommates or something.
They said they
Valley.
They understood that they were both outcasts, and so like it made sense that two kind of like offbeat kind of outcast people would find each other. But as far as like anybody being like, yeah, we went out to dinner with them, any type of thing. We had a game night and they loved each other. Like Tyrone, you were using the air quotes every time somebody say marriage. How do you feel about the relationship?
I don't think there's a relationship. I think it was business oriented the whole time.
Marriage and convenience.
I think it was a convenience thing. I didn't get any type of idea of loving. There was one little clip that I can't recall that it was at the end. I remember it's at the end of the documentary where they showed them actually interacting with each other, but that was the only time that we saw something of that. So it might just be more so just not having that information that's leading me to it. But also to what y'all were saying earlier about every documentary has an angle, has a bias. The documentary seemed to position it as if she was the one that initiated it, started it. I know what he stated in the documents right after the trial, but it seems like they were trying to push the narrative that she was the one that was like, this is what we need to do, and influencing him in a way to do this. Even knowing that he had that background, with his father.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It did. Mari, I don't know how much you agree, but it felt like it was like she's the social one, and he's the brains behind the social one, and she's out here doing all the stuff, and he's in the background on the computer. But we didn't really see her do that much. We saw that she was doing some shit off, kind of like off to the side. Like she had a bunch of side missions, these TED Talks, these other jobs that she had. Like she kind of helping paying the bills in the real time. But you know, the actual hacking and moving around, I don't know how much of that she actually like of the money part, you know, or the.
I don't think she did. Yeah, I don't think she did any of that hacking and stuff. I believe him when he said that he was the main hacker, and I see why they're probably positioning her as the mastermind because, like they said, he was a part of a startup that was literally going somewhere. Like it was being successful. And what they probably didn't talk about in this thing is probably like when he quote unquote walked away from that, he probably sold his shares and probably had millions of dollars from that. And that's probably what they were primarily living off of. Him selling those startup shares and stuff like that. So I think that's why they position it, because to you know, it makes a logical story to say like this man, he was on an up and up trajectory. He was the one who was going places legitimately. She was kind of like trying to still find her footing before they found each other. And so she convinces him to walk away from his growing startup, you know, in order for them to do this big old heist. You know, that's a story that people love to sell. And I think didn't they reference Bonnie and Clyde in this and stuff like that? Yeah. So
yeah, they did. They talked about how, you know, Bonnie and Clyde were a couple that was aligned, and it's hard for couples to pull off crimes like this because you have to get two people who are equally crazy, right, to be on the same exact page, to hear something that is outlandish, that like has a lot of holes in the plan, has a lot of like, and for them to be all in on it. And so to find two people who move in lockstep like that, it'd be very difficult. You know, Bonnie and Clyde, they do not end the same way these two people end. They end up getting shot up like 100 times, I believe. Like they shot them like Swiss cheese them people. And Bonnie and Clyde were willing to go down together, you know, whereas it felt like, yeah, they were willing to go down together, but it didn't have like the holding hands off the cliffs type of moment that I thought it would have, right? You would think that if you had this type of money that you're trying to get to so desperately, that you would have better plans and that you would have plenty of time to figure out what you do. But no, these are stupid criminals. These criminals are so stupid that the cops pull up and they're like, all right, we got a warrant. You can leave and get out of here, or you can stay, but we about to search your place. And she says, okay, cool. Let me get my $2,000 cat real quick. And goes over to try to lock her phone. And ma'am, we see you.
we can see you.
We can see you. Give me the phone. Give me the phone. And not only do they take that phone, but Tyrone, they find a little bag of burner phones too, labeled burner phones.
Burner phones. A Ziploc bag says burner phones in the drawer. It went behind no lock or anything like that. In the kitchen drawer with the rest of the restaurant menu that you've been ordering takeout from. That's where it was at.
I'm done.
It's just it is. I know we keep saying it is a wild story and it's recent, right? I think some of the dates that they were mentioning was like 2022. You know, anything that's like new, old or anything like that. And I think the interesting part of it is that there seemingly possibly be like a part 2, maybe, because how it ended off was essentially like we can't talk about this no more.
Yeah. Let's get into that. Let me set that up. So there comes a point in a lot of these cases, and we where the two cases the case interacts with another case that's more important than it. And although this was $4.5 billion, and you would think that would probably take precedence, no. The intelligence community has other plans, and they're like, hey, you're creeping over into Secret Service area, and we got to shut that down. So
you're out of your jurisdiction, mister.
You're out of your jurisdiction, buddy. Mari, you watch a lot of true crime. Is this something that you see often in the documentaries where at some point the well just runs dry because they can't tell us no more?
I mean, you don't see it often because most documentaries just kind of make what they can make. If they run into a wall, they normally don't necessarily tell you about that wall. But I feel like I feel like they put this in there for that dun dun dun, like. But honestly, all that means is the government is just doing the same stupid shit again. They're gonna probably use them to catch a bigger fish. You know what I'm saying? I mean, technically, they use them to close down Alpha Bay, which is like the dark web eBay, which was kind of. That was kind of, they're like, yeah, this is the dark web eBay, you know, trafficking,
normal, whatever you need,
whatever you need. And they're like, so we shut that down. I was like, yeah, thanks. Like, I'm glad. Like it seemed like y'all weren't going to like until this. But yeah, like this is they're just trying to make this cool. They're like, oh, we can't even talk about this. Y'all want this part. It's just like,
and that's why you just didn't have, you know, I brought that up because you was talking about we didn't have a run off the cliff moment for them. And I think that's why we honestly, instead of having a run off the cliff moment, we had a cliffhanger.
It felt unfinished. And I don't think they're going to go back and finish it.
Yeah, and maybe the case will open up to where they can talk about it. That's why I said maybe it's a possibility of a part 2, but this is truly an unfinished story. And they pretty much tell you that.
My guess is they just didn't have a good way to like wrap it up in a bow.
Well, we do get some like breadcrumbs for what could be the reason why this isn't happening. Ilya from in jail, he wrote a letter to the filmmakers and thanked them because he said, hey guys, your instincts are correct. There's more to this case than meets the eye. And I was like,
oh God,
Ilya. So he said, look,
Russia.
Y'all didn't get the big fish, but y'all on the right track, you know. So he's just making sure we know that although we got him, we ain't get everybody in there. And if we keep prying, we might get to bigger, badder fish out there. Which leads me to talk about Ilya's dad a little bit more. His name is Eugene, and he was a hacker, like Mari said, hacked the bank of, what was it, Tennessee or something like that?
Illinois, I believe.
Illinois. Yeah. And Secret Service came and knocked on his door and told him, hey, like, we found you and we know what you're doing. So let's go ahead and wrap that up. Let's go ahead. You got 30 minutes, you know, and 30 minutes. And he talked to them, and the documentary kind of painted as like, Ilya, his son, was around and kind of peeped at when he was a child, or those influences seeped into. He's peeking through the like, what's dad talking about Secret Service for? And there's like part of his villain origin story is that he learned at the knee of one of these incredible hackers, and then by the end we're like, when your instincts are correct. So they're leading us to believe that, like, it's like a family business, and maybe Ilya knows more just because of his background. Because for the Secret Service to come to your home and reprimand your dad for this, and then you still make it like a business decision and a personal career goal to actually go and do these same things, it says a little bit about that, you know, about the way you were raised and what you were raised around, that maybe, you know, they incepted that into this kid, and now as an adult, he's a part of something way bigger than you would have expected. So I agree. It's like there's some like hums in there, but we don't really get an answer to any of the questions. It was just fascinating watching them because we really didn't talk enough about the rap. It's so bad. It's so bad that every time they cut to somebody to ask them about the rap, they start laughing, or they cover their face, or they deny any action of the rap. They're like, yep, there were videos. There were definitely videos. And shout out to the poor intern who made the Versace Bedouin video, because he was like, this is my first music video I made, and I mean the song sucked, but at least I did.
I got kudos.
That was nuts. Bananas.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's a moral to this story. We have one very vocal victim. And I think that's the last thing I want to talk about, because I don't care about this victim at all. Sorry, I don't care. He lost $10,000 and he wants us to really care. Sir, I don't care. But it kind of leads me to believe, like, you know, in a situation where this man is a very wealthy man who got robbed, right? The Bitcoin industry, the site that they use or whatever was supposed to fix it. It's like if you gave your bank your money, right? The bank gets robbed, the bank owe you money. You know what I'm saying? It's
exactly.
Like the bank robber does owe you money, but the bank is supposed to make that whole. You know what I'm saying? Well, the bank, that's between the bank and this man. $4.5 billion out there in Bitcoin, Mari, it don't hurt nobody. It's a little bit of a victimless crime. I was like, I hate that they're getting away with it, but at the same time, what do you
right? They explained that the victim, he got back like a token that's equivalent to $1, which apparently might have been the equivalent to what he put in for his Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah, he probably got like $10,000 and then like an extra $10,000 on top of that. Like he didn't get the full whatever, $100,000.
But he's mad. He's mad because he would have wanted it back in Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin that was worth the $10,000 when he got it robbed from him would now be worth $250,000, I believe he said.
Yeah.
So that's what he wants. He wants the Bitcoin back, and I'm just like,
that man.
Sorry for you.
What's that owner? That owner sat there in that chair with his legs crossed, and he was like, "We've given back the most Bitcoin in Bitcoin history. We gave back unprecedented amount of the company. He got back what he should have gotten back." And I was like, this man don't give two shits.
No,
not a shit was given.
Because it's all a gamble anyway, right? There's no guarantee that you were going to get that money. You got back more money than you put in. Yes, you were robbed of the potential to get $250,000, but they didn't actually take $250,000 out of your hand. So for me, ultimately, I know this became like this big, huge manhunt in this case that was like the biggest heist ever, literally the biggest Bitcoin heist ever. $4.5 billion has probably never been stolen ever. But who did it hurt? If they were made whole, and the Bitcoin is basically like the money not real, like it's real, but it's not real. And so I was wondering, like, how many resources are we wasting on this? What are we really doing? Like, should I don't like Heather because she's a bad rapper, but I don't care that she stole all that money. That don't bother me at all. Should I care, Mari? Am I tripping? Like, who was hurt by this?
I mean, it's so cold, right? Because you're right. It's really hard for me to care. You know what I'm saying? Because let's be real. If you have Bitcoin, 9 times out of 10, you ain't start from the bottom. Now we're here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? More than likely, you have money that you're able to put into the Bitcoin in order to hope that you could gamble with. Basically, you have money to gamble with. A lot of us do not have money to gamble with. You know what I'm saying? So it is hard to be like, boo-hoo. Plus, that's the whole point. You went to Bitcoin because it's unregulated currency. It's deregulated. It's deregulation. They said it within like the first 10 minutes of the movie. So that's the whole point. If you're gonna go a route that's deregulated and has it's not backed by the FDIC, so they don't owe you your money back if it gets stolen. They owe whatever, they square up however they square up. So that's the biggest thing. It's like, this is a risk. You are investing in numbers on a screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's, but it does feel, I do feel bad, kind of like, because some people did lose a lot of money, but this is what happens. This is what happens when you're on the new frontier of a deregulated cryptocurrency. So
you win some, you lose some type stuff.
Exactly.
And Tyrone, if someone told me for the next 5 years they were going to steal $100 from Walmart every day, I would not care, because Walmart will not feel that. So, hilariously, Walmart would not feel that this person made hand over fist $100 a day, 365 days for the next 10 years. Walmart wouldn't miss it at all. No one is hurt by that. Walmart is still a billion-dollar multi-billion-dollar corporation. The same way it would take 100 years for these people to spend $4.5 billion if they spent a million every, what was the math on it? If they spent
$100,000 a day,
$100,000 a day, Walmart ain't gonna miss that $100 a day. But you could get rich off of it. I'm not advocating for crime here, but Tyrone, these people are fine. Everybody is fine. Nobody's hurt. I think we should let them go. They already free. So I guess
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say,
Let them go.
Mm.
Let them go is outrageous. The difference is Walmart is a corporation. We're talking about an individual.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
No, he
That's
got his
the
money back.
main difference.
He got his money back. That 4.5 billion does not belong to that man. He got his money back. Now the 4.5 billion dollars they got out there,
Yeah.
right, write it off. You know, it's not. I don't know. If you expect me, look, this is where I get my put on my socialist hat. If you expect me to care about 4.5 billion dollars in imaginary money, I ain't. Sorry.
Right.
I know y'all wanted to get them for. They broke some rules. They ain't break the law.
I ain't worried about the Bitcoin company. I was just talking about the individual that they highlighted. I'm talking about the multiple individuals that they didn't highlight.
Yeah.
Is kind of the thing that I'm focused on, because there might be some individuals in there that didn't just
get made right.
throw $10,000, at it.
Yeah.
That didn't, maybe it was like
right.
kind of like their last thing. Like I know people spent money on Denari money thinking it was gonna pop off.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Denari? Wait, what?
Oh, Mari, I remember that. That was a whole thing. I remember one of the OGs came up to me like, "You got to get into this," and I was like, "This sounds like a scam." And he was like, "No, I promise." I was like, "Just the way you so passionate about it makes me feel like it's a scam." And it was just like, how did it work? How was it? It was like foreign currency that was about to pop off, and you had to buy it in gold or something.
The government was going to change, and they was going to get a new mayor or something of that nature, and then it was going to start to rise the
Wait, isn't that Forex? Isn't that what Forex is? Like foreign exchange?
Basically. I mean, yeah, it's prior to that. It was a movement. It was a movement. Like they would people would pull you to the side, be like, "Nah, you got to get into this Denari money," and then they send you an email and show you a packet, and you're like, "And so I'm just supposed to buy this?" Like, yeah, if you start changing your money to this now, then when we switch over to the Denari system or whatever, then you're gonna be rich when you come in. Yeah.
Babu. Yes.
Yeah. Just like I was like, bro, I didn't even know anybody else knew about that, because I swear I was like, this is a scam, and walked off. But look, a sucker is born every day.
I'm like trying to look it up.
Yeah, a sucker is born every day, and a lot of times it's on the backs of brown and black and black people and people of color who cannot afford but are looking for a way to break the cycle of poverty. I think those people need to be compensated if they are robbed of anything, but at the same time, it's going to be hard pressed for you to care, because that $4.5 billion was seized from them people, or is trying to be seized from the people. They got a large chunk of it back. I think they said like $1 billion is still out there in the web somewhere, and they're trying to get it back. But where is it going? It's not coming to us. It's not subsidizing any of our tax dollars or any of our infrastructure. It's just 4.5 billion. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. But them people, they ain't really have to be in jail. I'm kind of okay with them being at home. Now that we talked it through, I'm like, she needs to go to jail for that rap.
This is so interesting. I'm really trying to figure out if this is it the Iraqi dinar? Like, is that what it is?
So.
Oh,
yeah.
That's crazy. They said it just resurfaced again.
Yeah,
it be popping up. It be popping up.
That's crazy. Is it like those $1 houses in Italy? Did y'all see that? I kind of want to do that, but I think they're racist over there.
I mean, they racist everywhere. They racist here.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, they racist here.
Everywhere.
I found the Washington State Office of Attorney General says these Denari website scams are very popular. These websites are asking the consumers to send a check, wire money, or pay cash upon delivery of dinars. What consumers are not told is that dinars can be redeemed only in Iraq, as most of the established currency exchange houses and banking institutions cannot cover dinar to US dollars. So on top of all of that, again, you can't even touch the money unless you can get to Iraq. You can't even touch it nowhere.
And who all go there?
Yeah. So,
Jeez Louise.
So that's our biggest heist ever. Mari, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was watching it thinking, what the hell is this? But the conversation about it has been a blast.
It's better than the documentary.
It's hilarious. It was hilarious, y'all. I told you, I watched it. I was like, Chappell, I think we need to talk about this, because what is going on? Like, it didn't seem serious enough for crime scene.
Yeah, you're like, take this to play over and recap Kickback. That is just fine. our partners over at Crime Scene. Thank you so much for sending us that, Mari and Sarah.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I had a lot of fun talking about it with you too. Like I'm still kind of confused, but like white collar crimes, man.
Yeah, they even get the good prison. Ty, I remember when Martha Stewart went to jail, and people were like, "This is nice." Okay, you got one.
First time I ever heard of a halfway house is when Martha Stewart got caught up. First time I ever heard it. I was like, halfway house. Halfway house.
Halfway.
Look, I understand halfway out, but halfway in is crazy. You know, like halfway in is crazy. But yeah, Tyrone, thank you for joining us. I know you had trepidation about this, but at least it seemed like you had a good time. You had a little fun.
It's one of those documentaries that you have to talk. Like if you watched it and you just didn't talk about it, then you'd be like, why the hell did I spend my time doing this? But the conversation, that's what makes it great, you know. So I was, like I said, please go watch Razzle Khan or whatever shorty name is and comment about it, because I want to hear your thoughts. I want to get your pure. Matter of fact, this is what I want you to do. I want you to pull up this video, and then as soon as you hear what we're talking about, pull up Biggest Heist Ever. Keep this video up and watch it. Get to the point with Razzle, and then immediately comment, because I want to get your initial thoughts. Because this is wild stuff. But aside from that, it was a great conversation. I think I am saying you should commit a crime. Just make sure it's computer science, IT related.
Victimless crimes, y'all. Victimless crimes only. Victimless crimes only.
That's what you do.
God.
Yeah. So, thank you, Tyrone. Mari, what are we talking about next? Do you know what we're doing next? We don't know.
Hopefully we can come back with the rest of Cross.
Yes. The comments have been asking for Cross. Yeah, we're trying to get we gotta get Jason back on the horn to cover the rest of the season. But I watched it. Okay, you know, I definitely got some things to say about it for sure.
Yeah,
so I think it'd be nice to do that. In the meantime, Tyrone, you and I got some business to handle.
And we're gonna talk about the madness, right? We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. And that's some serious stuff. So
Coleman Domingo starring in The Madness, nominated for a Golden Globe. It just dropped, but they made sure they got him. And it is Mari, it's kind of like it feels like almost like one of those racial horror movies, kind of like Jordan Peele.
Yeah, exactly. I did watch the first episode, and I was like, interesting. Like I was that's all I could say. I was just like,
a lot more realism than a Jordan Peele movie, though. A lot more real.
Yeah, like more like a thriller than a horror movie for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so check out The Madness. Tyrone and I will be bringing a recap of episode 1 soon. Tyrone, what else do you have going on in your world, and where can the people find you?
You just said it, and you can find me at tgram0711 on the bluest of the skies, where I'll be skeeting away.
There you go. Skeet, motherfucker. And Mari, skeet, goddamn. Where can people find you?
On Blue Sky at Mari Talks Too Much. That's 2 like the number 2. I'm not on the other place. I have left the before times. It's only Blue Skies ahead. You can you can also find me on Crime Scene every Tuesday. Me and Sarah Carradine bring True Crime Tuesdays to your ear holes. Go to crimescenepod.com. That's crime SEEN pod.com in order to subscribe, or you can just type Crime Scene to any podcatcher of your choice. We are on all of them. If you think you're subscribed, just make sure go back and resubscribe to our feed. Some people have had issues accessing our newer feed since we switched over, so just make sure go to crimescenepod.com, resubscribe so you're getting your Crime Scene. Also, I'm popping in and out of maths coverage with Jason and Asia. Been having fun over there, so make sure you go subscribe or go to robhasawebsite.com/@love@first-sight feed. That's been really fun. But I was just on the Survivor B&B with Mike Bloom and Liana talking about Survivor. So all of that can be found on RHAP, the RHAP YouTube page. But other than that, just chilling, hit me up on the Sky. And that's it.
Yeah, and then of course make sure you check out all our other recap kickback content because we got a lot. I'm trying to come hard during the Christmas holiday season. So we got Abbott Elementary coverage coming with me and Gia. We had to take a couple weeks off for the holidays. Abbott took a couple weeks off, but me and Gia are coming back for more Abbott coverage. Make sure you check that out. And then Tyrone, as he already mentioned, is going to be here for the madness. And then Gia and I got some Christmas content coming too. I think I'm going to be joining the Was It Good Though podcast at some point to talk about the Best Man Holiday. But here on Recap Kickback, I've been trying to get the Who All Gonna Be There podcast people, Tracy, Eric, Rock. Where y'all at? They come in to talk about Meet Me Next Christmas, the Christina Milian movie on Netflix. I've been waiting on them, and when they come through, we're gonna make sure we have that up. So let us know if there any Christmas content that you need to hear from Recap Kickback, because you only got a couple more weeks left before the new year starts, and we start all the way over, brand new, fresh on this network. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for liking this video. I'm telling you, click like right now. And thank you all for making sure you're keeping up with Recap Kickback on all social media platforms at Recap Kickback. For Tyrone, for Mari, and for myself, you ain't got to go home, but you definitely got to get the hell up out of here. We will talk to you all next week. Peace.
I've been trapped behind Maria, isolated like it's North Korea. Smaller city with some bigger dreams. The wall is cracked, I'm looking in between it. The world is yours, but man, I gotta see it. They say it's hard, but man, I gotta see it. The air I'm breathing can't feel my chest. Wait on life, I wanna hold my breath. I'ma get in my goddamn self.